fact, I've seen happen in the past few decades. You can argue Timothy McVeigh, and actually there's some conspiracy theories that say he had Islamic help as well. But pretty much every single terrorist attack around the planet Earth involved Muslims in one way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah. This is, as I said jokingly that I saw online today, this isn't the Little Sisters of the Poor that are bombing all these places. Absolutely not.
So you can dance around it all you'd like and say it's just extremism or other nonsense like that.
But this week, Russ, is proof positive that's not just extremism, because Muslim communities in Belgium were hiding and harboring known international terrorists. Explain to me again how that's moderate. It may be a peaceful community with low crime, whatever the case may be, I don't care. Fact of the matter is, this is the perfect example of what you would call a moderate society that is actually aiding and abetting international terrorism.
Well, I've explained this in the past, and our listenership always changes, so I'm going to explain it again real briefly. My view on what a moderate Muslim is.
The Gallo view on terror.
There is no such thing, really, as a moderate Muslim. You have practicing Muslims, all of which are insane, and then you have the supposed moderate Muslims, which are really, in fact, secular Muslims. Muslims that do not believe in Sharia or the strict teachings of the Quran as told by their imams, as taught by their imams. Those are what actual moderate Muslims are, the ones who do not practice. Because the ones that practice are extremists, insane, terrorist-shielding sympathizers.
Well, practice does make perfect, Russ.
So that's my view on it. Prove me wrong.
You know what? We're getting really heavy and down. Of course, Russ Gallo, the voice of an angry America here on Behind Enemy Lines. You know what? I think we need to lighten the mood. And when I think about lightening the mood, I go back to our buddy, Andre Walker. Andre has come up with another one of his awesome, incredible, fantastically funny weekly monologues for us. And you know what? I think it might be time. I know we got him on the show before, but it might be time to just, give Andre a little safe space to vent a little bit and talk about his latest weekly monologue.
Hello and welcome. My name's Andre Walker, and your weekly monologue starts right now. This was the week the European Union's federal capital, Brussels, was attacked by 11th century Islamo-fascists. Apparently, suicide bombers get 72 virgins in paradise when they blow themselves up. Oh, just a couple of problems here, guys. Number one, your pull technique has the whiff of desperation. Real desperation. Point number two, having seen the average standard of women who die virgins, I'm not sure you'd want them. Anyway, pop your teeth in, Betty. A smelly, sexually dysfunctional jihadi has just earned the right to use you as a sex slave for eternity. Yes, I know, dear. And we'll also be needing the other 71 nuns as well as you. Point number three, there's no reason to believe these lovely, wobbly, elderly ladies have consented to any of this. Oh, hang on, wait a second. We all know these guys aren't that big on consent. Ask swimmers in any municipal baths in Sweden. Ooh, nasty. But we're all left asking ourselves, who's the bigger fool? The backward donkey-shagging peasants of the Islamic State, or the fools who imported them into the heart of the European Union? Abu went to Europe, and all he brought me back was this lousy personal hygiene regime. Damn it! For once, I was angry with Karl Rove today, when he asked for President Obama to show some leadership by flying to Europe and offering solidarity with the Belgian people in their fight against the Islamic State. Now, don't get me wrong, we're always pleased to see the leader of the free world, even one as discredited as Obama. But what will he come to the EU and say? Well, let me get my crystal ball out and make you all a prediction. He'll say the attack had nothing to do with Islam and that Britain should respond by voting to stay in the European Union. Yeah, great. Let's continue this situation whereby all these nutters that have set up camp in Belgium now have the perfect right to move to the UK. Tempting. I doubt even Obama's silver tongue can save the campaign for Britain to stay in the EU. As I always say, better out than in. If POTUS really wants to do something useful, he could have spent today checking whether NATO's HQ in Brussels was secure. Hey Obama, remember NATO? the strategic military alliance America set up to protect freedom and save democracy, you may, and this is only a suggestion, want to check if it's still there, assuming, of course, you actually care, which is, admittedly, debatable. But Obama had much more important work to do, attending sporting events with the Cuban dictator Raul Castro. He didn't need to go all the way to Europe to witness human suffering and human rights abuses. He's got it all on his doorstep in Havana. Cuban dictators love Chicago gangsters. They always used to hang out together in Havana in the past, and that ended well. So why not try it again? I hear the cigars are absolutely superb, rolled on the thighs of pro-American political prisoners. Oh wait. Obama has now got more photos of himself with Castro and Che Guevara than he has with either Washington or Lincoln. That tells you everything you need to know about the priorities of a president that has now been denounced by Bill Clinton. Wow, that's a low blow. Oh, hang on a second. Yuck. Let's just avoid that word when we're talking about Clinton. There's no dignity in it, and there's no dignity in Bill Clinton. That was the monologue. Just time to announce the results of last week's quiz, when we asked how many Cuban cigars does it take to truly satisfy an American president. Bill from New York correctly answered, it really depends on exactly where you want to stick them. Congratulations, Bill. Your Che Guevara t-shirt is in the post right now. Until next week, goodbye.
Check out Andre's column at townhall.com. Check him out on Twitter at AndreJPWalker. And read Andre's work here, Behind Enemy Lines. Now back to the show.
Gene, I was going to complain that Andre got more time on the show this week than me, but I got to say his monologue was on fire this week.
It was pretty darn good, wasn't it?
He has a better grasp on American politics. 99% of the fools we walk around with around in New York.
Well, it's kind of easy when you're on the outside looking in to get a good vibe on what's going on. But anyway, thanks to Andre Walker from townhall.com, the UK lobby correspondent there, and friend of the show for contributing that to the show, as well as for saving the show from my technical muck-ups earlier on. But you know what, Russ? We got a few minutes left in the show. We can go a little over time just because I screwed up. But let's start wrapping this up towards some final thoughts. As everyone in the chat room, by the way, during our live show, is congratulating Andre Walker and basically inflating his ego to the size of Russell Gallo. But Russ, take back your show right now. Make the show great again.
Well, let's steer it towards politics since tonight is, Western Mini Tuesday or whatever they're calling it.
Western Tuesday, yes indeedy do.
So what is going to happen if and when there's an open convention and someone other than the person with the most votes, most delegates, most votes, whatever you want to call them, winds up becoming the nominee of the Republican Party? What happens then?
I believe that might be the end of the Republican Party. That's just, my little contribution that I might go on record with next week. By the way, we keep saying go on record, folks. Check out goonrecord.com. We're going to start using it on the show very soon, as soon as I get Russ into an account on it. Goonrecord.com, where you can post your views on anything in any category, from politics to sports to fashion to finance. It runs the gamut. But once you publish, it's up there for good, and people can challenge your views, and you can't take it back. Goonrecord.com. It's only for the brave.
I'd rather just remember and not go on record, you know what I mean? Because then I'm 100%.
Wait a minute, this is the man Russ Gallo that always tell me, mark that tape, I said this.
And then I only recall the ones I want to recall, so I'm 100%.
You gotta go on record.com, Russ.
But let's talk about this for one quick second here, Gene. So, Donald Trump is, by all accounts, going to go into the convention the front runner.
I think that's safe to say. I think that's very safe to say, considering the other two candidates are maybe going to have regional wins, not necessarily national wins.
And now the number for the nomination is 1,237 delegates.
That's correct. Trump's at about 678, I think it is, 680, somewhere around there.
50% plus one, whatever it is.
Right, and he's already more than halfway to that number.
More than halfway there, but more than half of the delegates have also been selected. So there's a little less than half left. The only two mathematically possible still, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Kasich needs more than 100% of remaining delegates, so he's out of the race. Doesn't make much sense why he's staying in. But the question remains, what if Donald Trump goes in with a substantially higher number of delegates, pledged delegates, into the convention but falls short of the 1,237 and does not walk out with that nomination?
All hell's going to break loose.
And by the way, for a little context here, there's a couple of notable conventions where this has happened, or it was contested.
Are we talking about the one in Brooklyn again? No, we're not talking about that.
We're not going to talk about the local ones. But Abraham Lincoln, 1860, did not go into the convention, the Republican convention at that time, with a majority of delegates, but walked out with the nomination.
And he was the sitting president then, wasn't he? Or was he not?
He was not.
He was not? Oh, that's right. 1860, he wasn't. That's correct.
He was not.
Wow, okay.
Fast forward to 1976.
-1 for Gene.
Ronald Reagan lost a contested convention to Gerald Ford. And Gerald Ford allowed Reagan to make a speech which so thrilled the Republican Party that they overwhelmingly supported him in 1980. So there are arguments both sides that would say a contested convention could be a good and a bad thing.
But in this day and age, with a split Republican Party the way it is now, with no uniting factor in sight, save ISIS, really, I think this is going to be a floor battle of epic proportions. And I think that we're in trouble, Russ.
Especially with some of the GOP insiders saying things to the effect of, it's not the voters who decide the nominee.
It's us who decide the nominee.
The party.
Isn't that ridiculous? And people that are saying that, Paul Ryan should be the nominee. I mean,
or Mitt Romney.
I mean, it's just get over yourselves already. But let's play what if on the other side, Russ. What if your party has a candidate that overwhelmingly gets the delegate count, but then gets arrested in the process? What about the possibility that, according to Charles Gasparino, is growing day by day, if you read his article in the New York Post, that Hillary Clinton, who is currently under investigation by the FBI,
for what?
For what? Well, let me count the ways. Goes and gets herself indicted, arrested, whatever it may be, in connection with her private email server and top secret and higher information being exposed to the world. What happens then in that case, Russ? At that brokered convention, does Bernie Sanders say, I'm the only candidate left with any delegates and therefore I should be your candidate? Or do they have a brokered convention and they have to put up a Joe Biden or an Elizabeth Warren or somebody else?
To be honest, I don't understand the Democrat rules. I don't even try to understand them because they have the superdelegates.
Oh, no. Well, we have the superdelegate as well in the Republican Party, just not as many.
Yeah, our superdelegates are like 1% of the delegates.
It's about 10%.
The superdelegates on the
It's about 25%.
Basically can throw the election either way.
Pretty much, and they can declare outside of the vote of the state.
And are you sure it's only 25%? I think it might be higher than that.
It might be a little more than I think they were early on. They were a lot more.
Double check that.
We'll double check it.
Because the superdelegates, for those of you who don't know, are just members of the Democratic establishment who are elected officials somewhere who can vote for whoever they want. Voters be damned. And now, the Republican Party obviously has its own problems as well. The RNC is a disaster. But it's nowhere near as bad as the Democratic way of selecting a candidate.
It's insider city over there. But we'll be interested observers as we march down the road to 2016. But for now, my friend, I'm sorry to say, it's been a whirlwind hour, but it's time to shut it down. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. I want to thank Andre Walker for coming on. Check him out on Twitter at AndreJP Walker. I want to thank Amanda Kohut for breaking on through to the other side tonight. Check her out on Twitter at Amanda Kohut. Check out Russ Gallo at his new handle at Real Russ Gallo. I like that one, by the way. And that's about it. We're going to shut this sucker down. You ready to shut it down, Russ?
Gene, before we shut it down, Islam is the enemy. Fight them there. When we fought them there, we came back to Iraq and Afghanistan, and we whooped that ass. Fight them there so we don't have to fight them here or in Europe. Gene, shut it down.
Good night, folks. See you next week.
Our position's been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. A rock radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days. Out.